Hello, Elly here from Thankful Flow Yoga. I'm here today with a pigeon hip opening flow. So we're going to be working through a couple of different ways that you can do pigeon pose today. So it's going to be a slightly shorter flow, opening up through the hips. And as always, please do grab any blocks or props or cushions, anything that you need to support you in your practice, and listen to your body and join me on the mat when you're ready in a comfortable seated position. So we're going to start the class today with a couple of releasing breaths. And as you get into your comfortable seat, you can always put a cushion or a block underneath your hips to bring yourself into that neutral spine position. And you could always take some blocks underneath the thighs. But if it's not comfortable to be in a cross-legged position, you can have your legs out in front or in any other alternate comfortable seat. And so we're going to inhale through the nose and exhale out through the mouth. We're going to do this 3 times, and I'm going to count to 3 on the inhales, and then as you exhale you can breathe out through your mouth, and it can be like a big releasing sigh. But as always, if you prefer to work with your own breathing, that's absolutely fine. So we're going to inhale for 1, 2, 3, exhale out through the mouth. Inhale for 1, 2, 3, exhale out through the mouth. And one more time, inhale through the nose for 1, 2, 3, exhale out through the mouth. And take some wrist flicks here, take a little shake out through the hands. And imagine that you're releasing any energy that is not serving you, anything in the body, and letting go. Anything that's not going to serve you in this present moment, in this practice today, give that permission to be released. Love this one. Great. So now we're going to start off and get straight into our first pigeon position here today. So I want you to plant the left foot down on the floor and have this left knee bent in. And bring your hands out behind you to support you on the mat. And then we're going to bring the right ankle to the left thigh and let the right knee open out to the side. This is a really deep stretch through the hips, the glutes, and keep some space across the chest here. Now, this may be feeling a little bit too strong for you up here. You can lengthen the left leg out in front to release from the stretch, and you could be working here today. So take whatever option feels right for you. And you can slide the left foot up, of course, coming deeper into the stretch if you would like to. Reconnect to your breath here. Notice your breathing, notice what it's communicating to you. And slowly start to release. So release the left leg down and release this right foot from the thigh. And then I want you to bring the sole of the right foot to the inside of your left thigh. And you can, of course, take anything you need under the hips here, under the thigh to support you. Coming into your Janu Shasana. So first of all, flex through the left foot, engage the left leg and find the length first. And then slowly start to walk your hands forward, leading with the chest, keeping the spine nice and straight, coming into a fold over this left leg. This pose can be really good for digestion. Opening through the back of the left leg, through the hands, through the hamstrings, through the right hip. And on your inhales, keep thinking about making space. And on your exhale, maybe surrendering a little more into that fold. And slowly start walking your hands up. Release and lengthen this right leg out. And I'm going to start to come into our seated pigeon on the right side. So right leg's lengthen first, and then bring your left ankle to your right thigh and see how this feels here. This could well feel like it's strong enough for you today, especially at the beginning of our practice. So you may want to work here. If you feel like you would like to come slightly deeper in the stretch, maybe start to see how it feels to slide this right leg in towards you. Being really mindful of any sensations, anything going on for you today in your body, in your mind, and honoring that, listening to that, letting your breath guide you in your practice. On your inhales and exhales, perhaps you can imagine that you're sending your breath to those parts of your body that you can really feel coming into the stretch right now. Maybe your breath can allow you to find some comfort within the discomfort. And then slowly starting to come out. So releasing the right leg and then bringing the left foot away from the thigh. And this time we're going to bring the sole of the left foot to the inside of your right thigh and engage and flex through the right foot. Find your length first, grow tall with your spine. Taking any support you need under this right thigh, under your hips. And then slowly from here, from a place of space and length, start to come into the fold, walking your hands forward. Maybe they come to your toes. They could be on your thighs, your shin. Most important thing is keeping a space and length in the spine. And slowly starting to make your way back up to a neutral position. And then start to bring yourself into an all fours tabletop position on your mat. From here, tuck the toes under and start to walk the feet in towards the hands. And hang down here for a moment in a forward fold. So let your hands hang heavy here. Opening through the backs of the legs and softening through the knees as much as you need to. Maybe taking a gentle sway or rock from side to side. Release any tension through your head and your neck and bring your weight forward through the balls of your feet. And then slowly start to peel the body up to standing, taking as much softness through your knees as you need to. Meeting me into Dasana mountain pose at the top of your mat. And inhale, sweep the arms up to the sky, lift your ribs away from your hips. Exhale, start to come into a forward fold. Inhale, come into a halfway lift, lengthen through the spine. Exhale, bring your hands down to the mat and step and meet in a plank position. And then drop your knees down to the mat and lower the rest of your body down. Inhale, roll your shoulders, lift your chest, cobra. Engage through the lower body, pressing the tops of your feet into the mat. Exhale, lower the chest back down. And then start to press through the hands, coming back either up to a tabletop position and meeting in a downward facing dog on the exhale, sending your hips up to the sky. Taking any movement in your first downward facing dog of the practice, any movement at all that feels good here. Sending your gaze between your knees and bringing those hips away from the ribs. Pressing them out away from you with your hands. Inhale, come to your toes and step or walk the hands toward the feet, towards the hands. And lift the chest and lengthen the spine, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, sweep the arms up to the sky. Exhale, hands to heart center. Now, option to step the feet in slightly further together here. That's just an option, you don't have to. And then on your inhale, sit your hips back and send. Imagine that you've got an imaginary seat behind you here coming into your Utkatasana. Now you can either work here coming into your traditional Utkatasana here, or if you are feeling for putting a little pigeon twist on this today, it's just an option. Come up slightly, and this is working into some balance here as well. So it's just an option. Bending through the right leg, so keeping softness through the right leg. See how it feels to hook the right ankle on the left thigh and sit back in your Utkatasana here. So you're going to feel a really deep stretch here. Through the glutes, the IT band, the hip, muscles surrounding the hip. Maybe your hands come out in front onto your ears. Really lovely, juicy stretch here. But just remember, it's just an option. If this is not feeling right for you today, then stay in your usual Utkatasana. And release that right leg if you had it hips over. Come into your forward fold on the exhale. Inhale, lift the chest, lengthen the spine. Exhale, bring your hands down to the mat and step back and meet me in a plank position. Work through your version of Chaturanga. So inhaling through either an upward facing dog or cobra, and exhale, meet me back in a downward facing dog. Belly button coming in towards the spine. Reconnect to your breath. Inhale, step the left foot through between the hands and reach the arms up to the sky. High lunge. An option here to take your hands to your elbows. Just going to move these blocks out the way. Option to take your hands to your elbows here and find an opening across the chest. Lifting up and out of the waist. Opening through your shoulders and your chest here. Exhale, release the hands and step the right foot in and pivot the right toes out to a slight angle. The front left toes are facing forwards and our hips are square and forwards. Bring your hands to your hips. Inhale, lift up and out of the waist and start to come forwards into your pyramid pose. Again, taking some blocks here, if that feels good for you. I know mine have just fallen down over there. So come to where feels right for you in this stretch. And maybe your hands are coming to the mat. If they are, you're working with bringing your forehead towards that front shin. And keep the right thigh activated and engaged here. Keep it switched on. Feeling the stretch and opening through the hamstrings, through the back of the left leg. Being really mindful, noticing anything that does not feel right, any sharp pains or anything like that. Ease off. Listen to your body. Keep the hips square. Keep the left hip nice and tucked in here. Honoring where your body needs to be today in the pose. And slowly start to come up and out of your pyramid. And then from here, again, taking any blocks or props that you need out in front of you. We're going to bring the weight forwards onto the left foot and start to either reach your left hand, it could be coming to a block, it could be coming to the mat. We're going to open out into Ardha Chandrasana half moon. Now, if you have a wall to hand to support you and you want to do this with your back to the wall, you absolutely can. You can take your block. Feel into any wobbles or shakes. Maybe see how it feels to send your gaze up to the sky. Beautiful opening across the hips here. And sweep the right arm down, soften through this left leg. Step or meet back in your plank position and work through your version of Chaturanga. Inhaling through upward facing dog or cobra. And on your exhale, meeting back in a downward facing dog. Taking a couple of breaths here. Sending your gaze between your knees. And on your next inhale, this time step the right foot through between the hands Sweep the arms up to the sky, high lunge. Option to bring your hands to the elbows and open through the shoulders here. And keep lifting up and out of the waist. Keep listening to your breath. Exhale, release the hands. Step the left foot in. Left toes pointing out at a slight angle. Right toes facing forward. Square off the hips. Hips are square, shining forward. Inhale. Lift the crown of the head to the ceiling first and make space. Grow the spine tall and then start to come forwards. There is no right place to be here when you start coming forward. You could be working up here and feeling it in the stretch here. You could be coming towards halfway. Maybe your hands coming to blocks. Maybe your hands coming to the mat. Keep the right hip tucked in. Keep the left thigh engaged and active. Keep pressing the right foot into the mat. Stabilizing the body as we work into this stretch. And slowly start to release, coming up from your pyramid, keeping the spine nice and lengthened. And then grabbing a block, if you use a block here, and starting to bring the weight forwards into the right foot this time. Starting to bring your right hand down, so we're starting to open here across the hips. And the right hand's either coming to a block or to the mat. Feeling into any wobbles here, knowing that one side may be very different from the other. Your half moon on one side could be falling all over the place, and the other side could be a different story. But don't worry if you're wobbling all over the place both. That's very, very common. Reaching that left fingertips up towards the ceiling. Maybe your gaze follows up there as well. Keep pressing through the right foot. Well done. Start to float the left hand down. Soften through the right leg. Come and meet me back in a plank position on your mat. And from here, soften your knees down to the mat and meet me in a tabletop position. Set your hips back towards your heels. Pause for a child's pose for a moment. An option to come into a wide leg child's pose here. If you're loving the hip opening today, you can bring your knees out to the side and sit your hips back into a juicy wide leg child's pose if that feels good for you. That's just an option. And start to come back up from your child's pose. Well-deserved child's pose there. And then from the tabletop position, walk your hands out slightly and melt the body back down. So we're meeting in a cobra. So inhale, roll your shoulders, lift your chest, cobra. Engage through the lower body. Exhale, melt the chest back down. Inhale, press through the hands And make your way back to your downward facing dog. Exhale as you bring your hips to the sky. And on your next inhale, step or walk the feet in towards the hands. Lift the chest, lengthen the spine, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. And then inhale, meet me back in your Utkatasana. So sitting your hips back to this seated chair position. Belly coming away from the thighs. An option, if you went for this last time, is to come into the opening on the other side. So bring yourself up slightly, but keep softness through the legs. And then see, balancing on the right leg this time and hooking the left ankle on the right thigh, and then taking a further bend through the right leg. See how it feels to come into this modified Utkatasana here with this really strong pigeon-like hip opening. This is only an option. Breathe. And release. Everybody releasing the Utkatasana. Well done. Let your hands come out to the side. And then from here, bring your hands out in front of you. And options come up on the toes here, but you don't have to. You can keep your feet flat if you prefer. And very slowly lower the hips down to the mat with control. Your thighs may well be shaking and wobbling all over the place at this point. Know that that is okay. Mine are. And release down to the mat. We're going to come into back to our tabletop position. And from tabletop, we're going to start to guide this left knee out to the side of the left hand. And your heel is coming in towards your body. And then we're sliding this right leg back, coming into pigeon pose here, king pigeon pose. Now, you may well need some blocks or support here. So you could have one block, you could have two blocks here, you could have cushions, you could have blankets. Take whatever you need to bring the mat up closer to you and come into your version of pigeon. So I'm going to twizzle around just so that I can show you as well here what my inside of my foot is doing. So your heel could be quite close into your body here. That's absolutely fine. It could be that for you, your heel's further out here like this. But just being really mindful of the knee joint, of the hip joint, and coming into what feels right in your body. And then slowly start to walk the hands out in front of you, releasing the chest and the head down to the mat. And breathe into a pigeon. And we've gone through a couple of different ways of looking at this pigeon pose today. And if this king pigeon position is really not feeling right for you, then you can come back to the seated position, the seated pigeon position that we did at the beginning of the practice. Slowly start coming up from your fold, plant the hands down, bring some weight through the hands here, and tuck under your right toe. See if you can bring some engagement, and we're lifting up, so we're not putting any pressure on the knee joint here, and bring the left foot back, bring yourself back into tabletop. We'll come into pigeon on the other side now. So we're scooping this right knee out to the side. It's coming to the outside of the right hand. And then you're tucking the heel in, coming to a place that feels right for you, and sliding this left leg back, coming into your pigeon. And again, taking any support blocks or props underneath the hips here, underneath you, or coming into your seated pigeon instead. So there's a lot of stuff going on in the spine, in the lumbar spine as well here. So feeling into that. If it doesn't feel good to be upright at all in your pigeon, you can come straight forwards with the hands here. And then everybody, I offer you to walk your hands forward now and come into a fold in your pigeon. For some of us, this will feel like a really great place to be, and for others, it will really, really not. So just honor however you're feeling about this pigeon practice. And just sit with that, come to a place of acceptance. Showing up and doing this practice today is more than enough. Start to walk your hands up now and tuck under the left toes. Bring some weight through the hands here and lift up. So bring any pressure away from the knee joint, and bring your legs back in and sit your hips back, and we'll come into a child's pose to finish the practice. And you can close off your eyes here for a moment. Melt your chest and your head, forehead to the mat. Notice your inhales and your exhales. And as always, if you would like to stay in your child's pose for longer, or take a lie down and come into a lovely Shavasana here, if you've got time, then please do. If you're ready to finish off the practice, you can start coming out of your child's pose, bringing some sensations back into the body, starting to open your eyes, maybe take a big shoulder roll back. Thank you so much for practicing with me today. I hope you enjoyed this hip opening pigeon flow. Who knows how many times I've said pigeon in this practice, but I really hope you enjoyed it. And as always, if you're interested in some more in-depth, some longer practices as well, some guided meditations, alignment videos, then please do have a look at the link below and have a look at my website and my membership. I would love to have you join the community, and there's also live Zoom flow as well included with that. So yeah, check that out, and I hope to see you again very soon. Bye-bye.